Ms. Shea Porter.
Thank you. Mr. Shin, the question I have has to do with the economic development that we are seeing in China right now. When I was there last summer, there were signs of it all around. And I would like to ask you, are some of our trade policies and some of our economic decisions, including our borrowing, helping them to build up their forces and build up their security and at our risk to our security? And are you addressing that in any way? Is this a conversation that you're having not simply with other people in your particular realm, but with people who are responsible for economic decisions in this country?
Again, that's a little bit out of my lane since we do military stuff.
Yes, but I think maybe we should have the conversation where we talk about the impact that borrowing has and the impact of trade policies have and the ability for China to receive the money in order to build up their defense. So I think we should be connecting the dots.
We are acutely aware of the relationship, however, between China's industrialization, much of which is driven by the private sector, or at least the semi-private sector, and their ability to engage in the sustained programmatic buildup. And not just the money to fund these programs, but also the technical transfer from for example, civilian, in quotes, unquote, civilian shipbuilding in China and their ability to ramp up the PLAN with the speed and sophistication that they have.
Well, every administration does have a responsibility. It's not just on the role of the private sector. Last summer I was talking to the Chinese about steel dumping, and I had heard from both the president of U.S. Steel and the union that we had a problem there. And so it's not simply the private sector. There is a role. And again, I'll ask you, is there a place where these two intersect, the questions about our trade policy and the inadvertent impact of building up China to a point where they, if they chose to be, could build a military that could threaten us?
It's a very good question, Congresswoman, for which I don't have a good answer because of what, the world that I work in.
Okay, let me change it to a personal. Do you make the connection, stepping aside from your own professional role here? I mean, is this something Americans should be talking about? I will tell you that you may not be talking about it, but they're talking about it in Main Street in my town.
I agree with you, and back home where I come from, I believe there is a clear impression among my neighbors and my relatives that China's economic growth has clearly powered their military expansion, and that the two are linked in some respect.
Thank you.